should be probably kickstarting this ASAP in the next 30 seconds or so. Now, this is pertaining to per se the markets. I have been bombarded with questions all around the MBA community. People, because I've been teaching markets for the last 27 years. And when I talk about markets, I talk about the asset class markets all over the world. Now, this is very, very interesting. But having said this, a statutory disclaimer: whatever views I express are purely in context of management education in the interest of management students community at large. Now, this is a statutory disclaimer. I do not stand as a representative of any mutual fund or a portfolio investor, and I do not have direct links, interests in underlying securities as our investments are concerned. Having said this, welcome all students of International School of Management and Research. It's one of my favorite schools. I'm a part of this school, but I operate out of Mumbai, and Mr. Jayakishan Butadaji, Chetan Butadaji, and Nilesh Butadaji have been kind enough to, allow me to be a part of this small little family called as ISMR. And I've been a part of this for the last 4 or 5 years. As a background, I don't know whether I've addressed the students before at the ISMR campus. I definitely remember addressing the seniors in the past, most of the seniors. And when I was to come in the month of March, all this has happened. So a good opportunity for me to relate and link myself with the 1921 bunch of ISMR students or ISMR kids at large, whether 1820 or 1921. My name is Nilesh Sarawate. I happen to be a faculty of SPGen for more than a decade in Mumbai. I've been a part of Jamnalal Bajaj for a few years. But I love this industry called as MBA education and per se markets. So let's get going. We've really in something which is very, very unprecedented, uncharted water that the world is talking about. Yeah, there's no two ways about it. In 100 years of human life that management educationists have been studying. They've been studying this 1929 depression that happened in the US, which rocked the Americans because unemployment rates hit the roof of 25% plus. Of Mr. Chetan Buttada, welcome. Yeah. 25% plus was the rocking rate of unemployment as far as the American economy was concerned. And it sounds crazy. That was officially reported. You know what? This is for you students. One of the reasons why the American depression happened, maybe because of the structure of the management program that exists in America. One of the reasons. I'm not joking. I'm telling you seriously, because MBA in America was tilted in favor of ensuring that production was taken care of. So the entire MBA training in US prior to the depression of 1929 was tilted in favor of training students from production point of view, inventory management point of view, making the product available in the least possible cost, the best possible quality, and so on and so forth. Obviously, the American customers had every reason to revolt, because they had no choices. Choices of products were just not made available. As a result of which inventory started to pile up, companies started to close down, and eventually we had a serious crisis. None of us have witnessed that. We were not in that generation. But that is something, that episode of depression is something which is compared with the current pandemic of 2020. And in my last 27 years that I've been following, there have been 2 other such episodes. And I want everyone to be aware of this. This is 2001, there was a dot-com burst. Everyone in the technology world, when the generation changed, the millennium changed, people had concerns on their softwares and stuff like that. There was a lot of hype that was being created around .com during the 1990s. So much so that, I invested my first 3 months of salary in building a portal called as Muffet.com, which never saw the light of the day. In 2000, eventually, 2001, the .com burst happened. A lot of people chose to get out of the technology sector, the information technology sector, the communication sector, the entertainment sector. It was called as the ICE sector, and they chose to get out of it. And eventually, thought of doing their management. And there was a big burst on MBA education. As far as markets were concerned, yes, they went through a down, and they had three times a short covering rally during the 2000-2001 post 2001 concerns, and all these rallies were sold off. When I say all these rallies were sold off, in other words, it means when markets went up, people started to sell off, came down. 3 times it happened. In 2008, America experienced the biggest financial depression. The world calls it the subprime crisis, and all the concern that arose out of the subprime crisis, the financial depression. It was like an infected arm of an American. It was infected arm of American financial sector. Americans had a choice: either chop off the arm, or just try to kharochify the arm and put some malam patti, assuming that some technological innovation in medicine would come up and that chot would get probably healed. Obviously, sanity prevailed, and they said, let's not chop off the hand. Let's try to take care of the chots that we have with the malam patti. Now, what happens because of an infected, contagious arm? Any country which came in touch with this American arm, they got into trouble, and America was no exception. I mean, India was no exception. 144 countries of the world which trade with US obviously had a reason to be concerned of because of the 2008 financial depression that the world saw. Markets obviously crashed, and I'd seen it firsthand because I was at my peak as well as MBA training in SPGN was concerned. And we were watching the markets, and Dow Jones hitting the lowest circuit, on 2 out of 3 occasions. It was crazy. Indian markets, Indian Sensex fell from a whopping 21,000 level to 8,000 level in October, November 2008. Crazy days. Great opportunities, isn't it? That's one way of looking at it. But people who are invested and who have been investing, and they suddenly find that their investment capital losses are significantly large. Panic creeps in, and it's not a good sign. It's blood on the streets is what they call it. Blood on the streets. From 2001 to 2020, every year around the Bombay Stock Exchange that I have witnessed, there would be some suicide that would always happen during the Diwali. So when I say blood on the streets, it's real, literally blood on the streets. What's happening?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Now you're audible.
Okay. Now I was talking about blood on the street. I have seen real blood on the street, 2008 days, 2001 days. And now, when the American market and the Indian market was looking at its peak in the month of February 2020, out of nowhere, COVID-19 has cropped up. A lot of conspiracy theories around it, isn't it? Tremendous amount of conspiracy theories. One school of thought which talks about that the COVID originated out of the Wuhan wildlife market, which the world is accepting today. But there have been conspiracy theories and questions have been raised with respect to the nature of the virus. Johns Hopkins University has come out with a literature which talks about that the virus being a protein molecule with a fat layer around it. And you don't have a virus like that. It's a man-made molecule. This is what they're trying to point it out. Not necessarily a biochemical weapon, but also possibly a bio. Maybe a thing that originated out of the American labs, the American work, the military got it in Wuhan. And all these conspiracy theories. But as MBA students and students of ISMR and my beloved ISMR, I'm telling you, trust me, each one of you needs to ensure that you have a angle which is in sync with what the lawmakers of our country have. Our lawmakers are saying Zoom is not advisable. They have not banned it. They have not made it illegal as of today. The day they do it, we are not going to use it. Period. But our lawmakers have stuck to this statement that this is a virus, and so we as management students, responsible, citizens, law-abiding citizens of this country, have to live with what the government has said. Yes, we have every reason to deliberate, argue, debate, discuss amongst ourselves, express our emotions with respect to any of these conspiracy theories. But when it comes to an official, let them join, get them on board. Gaurav.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Dhananjay Pingle is saying more students want to join. Get them in.
Yes, sir.
Good. Please. I want as many as possible. And we're going to continue with this. Okay. Let me go back. I'm talking about the conspiracy theories. So let's not deliberate on the conspiracy theories. Each one of us has a right. Each and every student, management student, responsible student, a law-abiding student has every right to deliberate, debate, argue. But we will go with the governments. But we will go ahead with what the government has to say, the lawmakers of our country has to say. And our lawmakers are stating this is a virus. The roots are the markets, the wild markets of Wuhan, wildlife markets of Wuhan, and we live it. But this has come out of nowhere. In India, Jan happened, Feb happened, and we were all in that mood. We said, it's not hitting the Indians, because of a climate, humidity, heat. And there were schools of thought, Indian immunity is so well protected because we as Indians know how to live with the bacteria and the viruses the world has. Immunity is strong. The temperatures are brilliant. Humidity is around. What happens? Suddenly, mid of March, we start to have some alarm bells ringing around the lawmakers of our country. Maharashtra gets into a virtual lockdown on the 15th of March. I guess your classes were called off on 15th of March. At least in Bombay, they were. And they said, pull some institutions off. Do it on the 14th, 15th of March, 13th, 14th of March, whatever. Till 31st of March. And we're still in that happy, honky-dory kind of a mood. And then there is 22nd March when we have Janta curfew announced. And we probably are still, in the right spirits, standing next to our windows and, blowing those, musical stuff. And a lot of viral videos on WhatsApp. And suddenly our Prime Minister calls for a lockdown. And it's a real reality check for all of us as Indians, and especially management students, management graduates, graduating or doing their MBA. Because you are in that phase of your life where you're going to kickstart your career. Not just about the degrees, but about the planning that has gone in, and that's going to go in from a 6, 8, 12, 15, 18 years for this number of days. And this has happened. And now, on 23rd of March, a day before our Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi ji, announced the lockdown in Indian context, the Indian markets had been rocked down. You must be wondering, you must be thinking, yeah, sir, I'm a PGDM or an MBA student specializing in marketing, specializing in operations, specializing in HR. Why the hell should I study about stock markets or asset markets, as the title of the session goes? Hey guys, please, you are no longer the unkut youth on the street or a gawar that belongs to a political party who gets carried away. Your knowledge of every MBA student who passes out from a relatively good school, and I strongly believe ISMR is a very good B school. Your knowledge about stock market, your knowledge about all kinds of asset markets. When I talk about asset markets, it can be the bond market, the treasury market. It can be the commodities market, the oil market. It can be the bullion market, the gold and the silver market. It can be the chemicals market. It can be the forex market. Definitely, it can be the real estate market. These are all the asset classes the world has ever seen. And on 23rd of March, mind you, each one of you should potentially look at this as a great opportunity to learn and get your basics in place as far as MBA education is concerned, irrespective of your specialization. On 23rd of March, the Indian stock market, the American markets, the European markets, the DAX or the CAC, German exchange, German index or the French index, FTSE, the British index, the UK index, NASDAQ, Dow Jones, S&P, Nifty, Sensex, all of them were just hitting the rock bottom. So much so that I remember markets crashing to an extent of 10, 12, 13%. And, people were aghast. What's happening? Indian markets went down below 8,000 level, 6,000, 7,600, 7,700 level was the Nifty level. Crazy numbers. People, there was panic all around. And then the lockdown happened on 25th. Almost 20 days plus have passed by. Half the world is under lockdown, including majority of the states of US. Even Pakistan, who are still claiming that no lockdown and all. That man went and ridiculed Narendra Modi. How rubbish. But anyway, that's not our cup of discussion. What the point is, prior to the lockdown that was being announced, the markets at large had crashed. Oil was at the rock bottom. One of the reasons was the conflict between Russia and Saudi Arabia. In one of those UN meetings in Austria, the discussions did not go fairly well. They came to loggerheads, and both of them thought of increasing production and subsidizing sales, means giving discounts at sales. Prices of oil crashed. But this is prior to 25th of March. This is prior to 25th of March, damn it. 23rd March specifically, Monday. 22nd March was our Janta Curfew day. 23rd March was Monday. 24th was Modi Saab telling us that we're going to go on a lockdown. 25th, we go on a lockdown. The lockdown gets over potentially around 14th of April. We are going to push back again till 3rd of May. And today, we are on the 18th of April. 17th April was yesterday's Friday. From 25th March to 17th April, the world at large, minimum 54% of the world population is under lockdown. There is just no demand for energy, no demand for oil. Obviously, oil prices are going to crash, crash, and crash. No two ways about it. Short run, yes, it's going to come down. But what have we witnessed? We have witnessed two things fundamentally, that the Indian markets, the American markets are hitting the roof. They're going up and up and up. You know what's every student, HR specialization student, marketing specialization student, operations guys, finance guys, if you don't know it, you're going to have the whack with the right time in the right place. But that's not about facts. It's about knowing it. It's about feeling it. It's about getting it in your system. It's important. It's important, guys, because your recruiter tomorrow, 6 months down the road, 9 months down the road, and mind you, you're going to have a lot of opportunities. I'm going to talk about that in the second part of my session, as how recruitment is going to happen for ISMR students, and why they're going to be doing well, and for your juniors who would come in 2020, which you're going to be responsible for. You're going to be responsible for. This is very, very critical that you understand markets. 25th March, we got into lockdown. Till today, we are in a lockdown, and our Indian markets have gone up by as much as 24, 26%. Gone up. At the same time, the American markets have hit the roof about 20% plus, maybe 24% again. Same is the case with FTSE, same is the case with CSC, same is the case with DAX. I'm not talking about the Shanghai Composite as of today, because the studies of Shanghai Composite are something which every student now has to bloody do with a lot of suspicion. So you don't know the numbers that we see over here are the real numbers that are actually happening on the markets. I'm not getting into only Shanghai Composite. We talk about any other market, right from NASDAQ, Dow Jones, S&P, FTSE, SAC, CAC, DAX, Hang Seng. I'm ready to consider the Hong Kong exchange, CIMEX, Singapore, Nifty, Sensex, the Australian index, the Seoul index. All these global market indices have gone up. Now, as students of MBA, you need to understand this very categorically, and you can't plead ignorance on this, because your recruiter tomorrow is going to question you plenty around the pandemic And the discussions are just not about the lives that are being lost, not about the lockdowns, not about politics, not about what crisis people had, not about the ifs and buts. It's all about purely from a global perspective. That's what happened to the asset markets, what happened to the global economics at large, what happened to geopolitics at large, what happened to the levels of the markets at large, stock market, oil market, bullion market, all that. I bet each one of you, every student sitting over here, back at home, your mom would be saying, your sister would be saying, your granny would be saying, your auntie would be saying, hey, सोने का भाव बढ़ गया है, सोना बुटाड़ा सर 45,000, 46,000. अरे बाबा रे बाबा, सोना is सोना going up and up and up and up. Everyone is talking about it. Well, that's something which a common man understands. What about markets? The questions, you won't believe this. I'm talking about an IIM group, I'm Ahmedabad, I'm Bangalore group, senior guys. And one of those guys made a statement. Why are we keeping the stock markets open? When there is a lockdown, the markets also have to be closed. How rubbish, how rubbish. As students of management, everyone, please understand the markets exist because they are responsible to give you the real price. They are responsible for price discovery. Price discovery is what happens because on the stock markets or the commodity markets. They're responsible for price discovery. Secondly, all markets are barometers to the economy. What's going to happen in the future gets captured. Markets were smart enough to probably tell you much before 23rd of March when they were crashing that lockdowns are coming. We were the ones who probably failed to accept it. I did make an attempt. I wrote an article. I made a statement. I did a speech. I did everything. But we're too little small people to reach out to the world at large. Point number 3, when these calamities are happening, this pandemic has happened, in the last 20, 25 days, something has changed. Now, I'll just, before I get into what has happened and the markets have gone up, why they have gone up, and what you should know, I'll just see there are certain comments that I've got, chat, they're waiting to join. That's the only thing. Yes, Dr. Dhananjay Pingle, are we expecting more students? Before I get into the real reason and how this works, why markets have gone up. And Gaurav, is there any way we can extend the duration of the session since we started a little late? Yeah? I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
So it will get automatically extended, I think.
It will be automatically
Yeah,
extended?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
no problem. Otherwise, kindly ensure that that platform is used correctly.
Yes, sir.
Since I'm doing this for the first time with the ISMR students, I want this to be picture perfect down the drain of every ISMR student. Guys, post 25th of March, we got into a lockdown, but you would have realized on the 27th of March, there was frenetic display of political, not political, I wouldn't, that's a wrong word, stimulus-oriented, packages that came on the screen, on your TV. First, you had all kinds of people coming and saying, Nirmala Sitharaman ji came, the finance minister. Then came Mr. Das, the governor of RBI, back to back, with tremendous amount of changes. Now, a HR or a marketing guy would say, sir, how does it matter? No, it matters, damn it, it matters. Because the way you're going to learn MBA education now, in the next 1 year, and after that, is going to be a little different from what you were doing 2 months back. Yes, the reserve ratios, the CRR, or the repo rates, or the reverse repo rates. These are the 3 parameters. I mean, your economics teacher definitely teaches you all of this. CRR, repo rate, and reverse repo rate. It's up to you. You study it. Finance guys obviously need to know it more. Marketing guys just understand it for the exam point of view. No. Things have changed now. If you want to land up in a good marketplace, a good job, good employment, good career, you cannot ignore and you cannot plead ignorance of not understanding this. Those days have changed. Because this change that we are witnessing today, and we witnessed on the 27th of March, not only in India, even in federal bank's context, in American context. So let's talk about US, European Commercial Bank, ECB, Germany, and talk about India. I think it's applicable for the rest of the world. So what has happened? India went ahead with a fiscal and a monetary stimulus totaling more than 1,70,000 crores plus a few billion dollars. A few billion was around $20 billion. 1,70,000 crores of worth of liquidity because of a reduction in cash reserve ratio, repo rates, and reverse repo rate. In my history of 27 years, I have never seen a reduction of 0.9% of reverse. What does it mean? In simple words, banks can borrow money at around 4%. And yesterday, Mr. Das has reduced it further by 0.25% or 25 basis points to 3.75%. Now just imagine banking in India, which is responsible for credit, is in a position today to borrow at less than 3.75%. 3.75% is the borrowing rate from RBI through the reverse repo transactions. What do these banks do? The banks are supposed to lend it. Banks are supposed to give leeways. Yes, they did have certain stimuli for the common consumers, retail loan consumers. 3 AMIs deferred can be paid later on. That has happened. That is what you're witnessing for retail customers. But that is not management students look at. Management students look at strategy. Management students should look at what's going to happen to the organization at large. What's going to happen to the functions at large. This is where I come from. Banks are going to be loaded with so much of monies. What happens to this money? The bank suddenly thinks of parking it back with RBI or in the government securities or treasury, hold on to the money. They are not going to take risks. So only those organizations who have a risk appetite and more importantly, a decent rating, BBB and above, will be able to access monies at very low cost, and then they get into the business of lending through ICDs, intercorporate deposits. Now that's how the world works. This is precisely what's happening. But because of this is known as a stimuli. Over a period of time, this surplus monies find ways into the corporate world. You and me as individuals will not get those access to monies big time. Some of us with great civil score majors, but not everyone. From corporate A to corporate B to corporate B to corporate C, money start moving within the corporate world for projects, and the cost of funds goes down, the profitability is likely to go up. The stimuli are responsible for a better profitability at a future date. And markets captures the future. Markets are going to capture the future. This is precisely what it is. Why stock markets start to react on the stimulus. It's all the stimuli money. Stimuli. Just imagine the quantum of stimulus in the world. I want everyone to ponder over it. In 2008, and I was shocked when I was studying this, not now, that point of time, when Lehman Brothers failed, when the American insurance group was on the verge of a bankruptcy, and American insurance group is bigger than LIC, few times bigger than LIC as far as India is concerned. So you can imagine the concerns out there in US. American government had a fiscal stimuli of $1 trillion, big $1 trillion. Today, the American government has had a stimuli of $2.55 trillion. That is fiscal stimuli. Fiscal stimuli is by the governments. And $2.3 trillion by the federal bank, which is a monetary stimuli. The way Mr. Das and way Nirmala Sitharaman ji did stimuli, in our case, RBI and government, in American context, very similar. But the quantum is around $5 trillion. Just in perspective, India's economy size is $2.5 trillion. मतलब अपना GDP भारत का साल का $2.5 trillion है. American just stimuli is $5 trillion. And it just not remains $5 trillion because of the multiplier effect. Multiplier effect मतलब corporate A to corporate B to corporate C. ये जो frequency है, टक 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 टक, ये हो रहा है ना, ये होगा, आज नहीं तो कल. This frequency ensures that there is a multiplication in the money that is getting required. That is called as a multiplier. So assume a multiplier of 1.8, 1.9 on $5 trillion. It is around $9 trillion worth of dollars in the world. That is 10% of the global GDP, damn it. दुनिया का GDP 85 to 90 trillion dollar है. मल्टीप्लायर इफेक्ट से मनी सप्लाई डॉलर टर्म्स में $10 ट्रिलियन 9 से $10 ट्रिलियन हो रहा है. Support it with Japan's $1 trillion. Support it with Germany's 1 trillion euros. You're talking about approximately $15 trillion worth of stimuli, which is going to contribute to the GDP of the world. The stock market has to go up because that money is eventually goes to the corporates. I hope everyone understands. That's the reason, fundamental reason. Stimuli is responsible for market setting the rule. But second, most important, is there are bear traps. You know what happens? When market, everyone starts expecting, oh, lockdown hone wala hai, problems hai, market kharab hai, बेच देता हूँ. I start selling. Some of them sell, some of them does short selling. Short selling means speculation. बेचता है. Market नीचे जाता है, he's making profits. Suddenly, with stimuli comes up, the share price goes up. Guys who have sold futures, they are forced to buy it at a higher price. There is panic buying, and these are called as bear traps, short sellers traps, short covering. These are the words. And you should know these words because this is the language that you're going to use with your recruit. So markets tend to go up because there is stimuli and there is short term. And there is value buying, value investing. Which means somebody sees there is value, he is a genuine investor. Genuine investor, short seller, speculator, and the stimuli are responsible for the markets to go up. Obviously, no one's going to buy into oil because the demand for oil is going to go down. Energy is going to go down. 54% of the world's population is sitting at home. There is no pollution in air. Air quality is very good. All this is what we are discussing. Oil will not go up. So where do you put the money apart from stock market? You put it in two things. One is gold. That's why gold is going up. Second is hatchback dollar, greenback, greenback dollar, green currency. Dollar, stock market, and gold. Now, having explained this for students of MBA, this is more critical. You're studying in RB school known as International School of Management and Research. Internships may be a concern because it's instructed by the AICTE that you can have internship, which is work from home, which is a challenge or an opportunity-centric problem given by the college itself, or the institution itself, which is going to be treated as an internship. Don't get perturbed because of this. This is not only happening to you, it's happening to all MBA grads all over the world. Second, your seniors may have a reason to grudge that their jobs would have got deferred. They may not have the right job. Their salaries would not be up to them. Come on. This is happening with I am Ahmedabad, I am Bangalore, I am Kolkata, SP Jain, Jamnalal Bajaj. It's happening with all these students. This is not the times to cry. These are not the times to cry. These are the times to stay together. These are the times to ensure that, gosh, you mean business. The world is going to go through a change. In fact, has gone through a change. Has gone through. No two ways about it. So when change is a paradoxical change or a definite change witnessed by the world, how do you react to it? As responsible students of MBA, you need to have that respect and the love for your parent institution. Even it's challenged, isn't it? Just imagine how an institution management would be feeling. They worked hard and hard and hard, and the seniors were about to be knocking the corporate doors. And suddenly Feb happened. February came your, hi Nilesh Buttada, how you doing? Oh, Mr. Nilesh Buttada. Yeah. Suddenly in January, this COVID comes in. February, we start to take cognizance. March, we get into a lockdown. April, May is a lockdown. My MBA students who were knocking the corporate world, we did everything and now it's going to get deferred. It doesn't send good waves, right? It doesn't send good signals to us. No one likes it. No one's going to be appreciative. And then what happens? I have the juniors, 1921 batch, MBA, PGDM students, ISMR. The internships have gone for a toss because that's the instruction. There's a lockdown. How do these students react and what is expected of the students to react? Point number one, this has happened. This has happened. And you and me Cannot change it now. You and me can't change it now. Please understand it. So you all need to learn to tide over it. You need to tide it over. We can't say this is a thing of the past. Hey, damn it, dude, it's a thing of the past. No, it's not. It's the thing here to stay, and it's a thing of the near future too. So how do I react as students of MBA? First thing is, I should not panic. I should not panic because I am very young. Most of you would be age bracket less than 24, 25. Most of you. Nilesh Buttada, correct me if I'm wrong. Sir, 25, less than 25? Yeah? 24, 25. Please, mark my words, I'm ready to sign this. You must be hearing words and statements that unemployment rate is hitting the roof. America has reported few million people who are going to go for the unemployment benefits. Hey, you know what? In America, half of them would be voluntarily unemployed. You know, these guys are very smart. They have those benefits. This was the outcome of the 1929 depression. 1929 depression, the biggest outcome in America was anyone who's unemployed will have a benefit. Because the biggest problem in 1929 depression was unemployment. So they have that system that is established for the last 90 years. So people make and that is where that $2 trillion of Trump is going to go down the drain. Few million people availing the unemployment benefits. In Indian context, you will have reports which says 23% of the urban youth is going to be unemployed. 18% of the rural youth is going to get unemployed. You suddenly starts wondering, what's happening? My MBA, मैं MBA का बच्चा है, तो मेरे पास कंपनी नहीं है. Sir, क्या करूं? Come on. Understand the definition of unemployment. Unemployment is for those people who are employed in business, who are employed in the corporate world. And that is predominantly in age bracket of 26 to 42, the mid-management segment, or the blue-collared workers. Hey guys, you're students of MBA, you neither fall in a category of 26 to 42, not all of you, most of you don't, and you're not a blue-collared worker. Yes, 4 crore janta, 40 crore janta, you know, might get into a problem, which is the blue-collared stuff. Not that it is going to be a problem, it's a deferred solution. It's a problem with a deferred solution. So, point that I'm trying to make, you have a scenario today. Yes, the pandemic is here to stay. And trust me, be assured on this. Common sense tells you that a lockdown might defer the concern, might delay the problem, but cannot eliminate it. But you know what the lockdown does? The lockdown educates all of us. If the lockdown had not happened, trust me, none of us would have learned the art of wearing a mask. None of us would have probably thought of washing our hands on a regular basis. And the Americans and the Chinese and the Europeans would have bloody now been taught to rub hands when they go and have a potty. Trust me on this. That's a huge change. Hygiene is the word that the world is learning. And we are no exceptions. We are no exceptions. The pandemic is here. Now what happens? On the road, we know social distancing importance. As long as the pandemic is around, we all gonna follow social distance. Needless to say that even the lowermost denominator on the road is gonna do it. The congregation of more than 4 or 5 people. People know we need not come together now. So no congregation, social distancing, hygiene, washing of hands, mask protection. It's an education that the lockdown has given to all of us. But the concerns will still be around because there is no prevention. Prevention is a function of vaccine. So till the vaccine is not out, you can now be on and off, playing with these terms called as lockdown, staggered lockdown, partial leeway, some closures, some disclosure, all those things. Having said this, online training, online coaching, all this is going to come. Congregation is going to be avoided till the vaccine is not. Given this background, you as students of MBA now have a huge responsibility on your shoulders. We are not getting younger, guys. You know, being in industry for 27 years, and you have Nilesh Buttada, Jaiken Buttada sir, the Buttada family, Chetan Buttada sir. They again have toiled their butt off. They have really sloughed it off. Now they're witnessing the second year students having little concerns. Yes, but they will still do well. I'm more than convinced and confident. You are the first year, the 19-20-year-old students. Internship concerns, get it off your windows. Get it out of your minds. It's not happening to you, it's happening to the rest of the world. So how do you use this time? Time in lieu of the internship, that next 2 months, 3 months. Learn to read, and most importantly, have a chopdi created. Chopdi means a book, a physical book. Trust me, the world is going to move to this now. Because non-editable, China data problems are pertained because of technology. They can edit whatever they put input. You just saw Wuhan death figures have been escalated by 50%. How rubbish. Till the world doesn't tell you, don't do it. I mean, absolute crap. So it's all now going to be chopdi, paper. So pick up a paper book, a chopdi, a register, and start preparing for your placements. And it's your responsibility. Mind you, it's your responsibility. If you think any institution is going to be the one, no, it doesn't work that way. IIMs, SPJN, XLR, IFMS, JB, it doesn't work that way. So people have to be that little responsible. Your preparation is going to decide what kind of content you build. And your content is going to decide how confident you are. Your confidence is going to build your communication. And if you get those first 4 aspects right, preparation, content, confidence, communication in place, be assured articulated communication will fall your ways. Definitely. But that's chopdi. This 2.5 months before your college commences, like the old time's sake, make the most of reading. Reading what? Global economics. The economy that I just spoke about, what's happening all around the world, the geopolitical cycles, the impact that it's happening on the market. There are certain sectors of the economy that are going to go out of business, and certain sectors, new sectors, which are going to have inroads made in the economy. That has to be a part of your job. Half an hour, 45 minutes every day, regular. Responsibility number 1. Responsibility number 2 is be positive. You are young age people and we are not. Your parents are not getting younger. Your senior, most people in the family are never going to get. You have a responsibility towards them. A smile will say it all. A smile on the face of a young kid brings about infinite feelings and emotional outbreaks among the senior-most people in the family. I don't know whether you understand. This is psychology. Please ensure that you have that smile on your face. And it has to be real, it's not to be cooked up. You're an MBA student. You're going to see and witness such many problems. Not necessarily a pandemic in the world, but corporate problems in your life. Take this as an opportunity of learning and say, gosh, I'm glad I went through this. I will tide over this. I'll have the smiles. I will ensure that I bring about that positivity around me and my cycles and my community and my family. And I shoulder my responsibilities. So point number 1 is the preparation for your placement for your career. Second is your responsibility towards your community, towards your family, and towards your fellow colleagues. Third, you have a huge responsibility towards your institution. And I say this for every educational institution. And ISMR is a decent place situated in Vadki, a beautiful locality. And these guys are pretty nice. Yes, every institution will have a lot of ifs and buts, but it's a real institution. You as students of MBA belonging to ISMR, whether you're PGDM or MBA of Savitribai Phule University, you have a huge responsibility towards your own institution. You are going to be the flag bearers of this institution. This institution would have given you something, may not have given you something. But what you need to remember is what you got and not what you've not got. This is a sign of maturity. I did my MBA from a very beautiful B school down south in Manipal. I landed a job which lasted hardly for a week. I had every reason to quit. I did it. Life changed. In 3 years post my MBA, I always used to wonder, When will I get that chance to be back into my MBA school with my classmates, with all the ifs and buts, the pluses and the minuses? 20 years later, when we had a 20 saal baad, it was all positive. It was all that feeling, those nostalgia. So build on to good positive memories and give it back to your institution. Your institution desires it and deserves it and like never before. Because understand, I want everyone to understand this, ISMR is not an Ahmedabad, which means there are going to be efforts that ISMR historically will have to put, has been putting, both for its deliverables, for its business, for its batches, for its students. Given this background of a lockdown, I hope you understand the challenges that an institution will face. And it's in interest of you because you're a part of the family of ISMR. You have to shoulder those responsibilities. Point number 3, this is most vital. It's your institution. You have to do what you can to give that support, that handholding to Mr. Jayakishan Buttada sir, to Nilesh Buttada, to Chetan Buttada. Because if they do well as an institution, you have every reason to smile 20 years down the road, 5 years down the road, 2 years down the road. Go for those memories, guys. Go for that feeling that, gosh, I belong to this place. And when I say this, I always said, I belong to this country. I belong to this MBA school of mine. That feeling has to be there with you. So first, preparation for your placements in the Chopri. Second, that responsibility with a smile to get that feeling towards your community. And third, and the biggest one, is towards your institution, ISMR. Do what best you can. Call on a Nilesh Buttada or a Chetan Buttada or Jayakishan Buttada sir and say, sir, tell me what I can do. I'm staying here in Gwalior in some corner of the world. I know I can't reach out in a physical form because of the distancing norms that have been laid down because of the lockdown, but I'll do my fair bit. You guys belong to different parts of the country. I think some parts of the country will have some kind of relaxation post 20th of April and definitely after 3rd. Not sure to what extent we will have a relaxation in Bombay or Pune. We know all of that. Then the responsibility as a family member of ISMR has to be taken forward by every student and say, I will do my fair bit to do what I can do for admissions, for the batch that I have to start, for PGDM or for MBA 2020-22 batch. Whether it is in June or July or August or November, it doesn't matter. I need to ensure that I go all out to this. Because that reasoning of doing it or giving it will ensure that you get it. Joy of giving will give you much more reasons to be smiling about getting. I don't know whether I'm reaching out to you, but this is that times, Buttada sir, I think we are in sync out over here. It's a small family. I don't know whether Nilesh Buttada is listening to this or Chetan Buttada is listening to this, but I'm sure I have Jayakishan Buttada sir listening to us. I think ponder over whatever I had to say. Ponder over that feeling that preparation is critical. Ponder over the fact that I need to bring smiles. Ponder over the fact that I need to support my institution to get my batches. Who knows? The specializations are going to change. I am going on record, point number 4 and the final point for today. The specializations are going to change, guys. Conventionally, it has always been marketing, finance, systems, HR, and operations given by University of Pune or by AICTE. The world's changing fast. No, world has changed fast. And then you're going to have derived specializations coming here. And for your institution to offer you that additional training, that push to get the right placement, mind you, that institution needs your support. And it's a mutual two-way process. It's never a universal, unilateral process. It's a two-way mutual process. For the institution, it's building the careers of its students, and for the students, it's building the institution. And if that student doesn't understand this, I'm afraid 20 years later, you will not have the pride in saying, I belong to this institution. You want to live that and you want to have that feeling of pride, go for it. 4 points I told you categorically. Preparation for placements in your chopdi. Second, the smiles to your community members, to your family members, because the smile will change the environment. Third, doing whatever you can for ISMR as an institution, for its batch starting dates and for its admissions, whatever. Fourth, understanding that the specializations are going to change and the institute will do what it can, because specializations might become derived. It can be MarcOps, it can be MarCom, it can be MarcFin, it can be FinTech. Sounds very Latin today. 2 months later, you will understand the wording that I'm telling you. Last but not the least, the approach for placements is going to change. Gone are going to be the days of a placement week or a placement time. And I'm talking about the next 3 years' time. Applicable to you. The student will have to work on an EIC platform. When I say EIC, it's economy, industry, and company. I did throw upon certain lights as far as the economic changes is concerned, about the stimuli that are being brought about. Your understanding of E will decide which company or C you will end up with. Trust me on this. Because industry, the I part of it, is going to have a non-existence kind of an approach, because governments all over the world are not going to bring about big time changes as far as the tax rates on an escalated basis, or technological changes as far as the I is concerned. To make it simple, to make it very simple for you. When I spoke about unemployment, 23% urban in Indian context, few million in American context, it is between age bracket of 26 to 52, middle management level. What's going to happen is, age below 26, you will have big opportunities coming your way. Derived specialization is what you need to be aware of. EIC is the approach for placements. Economy, industry, and company. Because the mid management is not going to be available, the top management will come down to bridge the gap that has been left vacant by the mid management with executors who are age below 26. So you will have every reason to deal with the top management when you get into the job market. Now that's a huge change. But that guy is going to expect you to know the economic aspect or economic changes that are going to happening or that are happening in the world. Otherwise, he'll think you're a jerk. Please understand this. That is where the chopdi comes in. The chopdi matters the most. Preparation, content, confidence, communication, articulated communication. The smiles around you ensures that the environment around you changes. Your contribution towards your institution, ISMR, for batches, for admissions, all matters. The derived specializations coming your way in the form of training, ensuring that you have placements. And last but not the least, your juniors are going to be equally be happy. You're going to be happy. Your juniors are going to be happier. You know why? Because they're going to be passing out in an environment where India is going to have an economic growth rate of more than 7.5 to 8%. You guys are going to be around that. That's the best part, to do your MBA now. You have every reason to tell a lot of students to join ISMR, PGDM or MBA batch, 2020-22 batch. Because when they're going to be passing out 15 months, 18 months down later, I will sign and give it to you. They are going to be passing out in an environment which is going to have an Indian economic growth rate of 7.5%. Good for today. Ponder over these 5 points. Put it in your chopdi. Next time we meet, and we meet quite often, we will. Maybe next week, as early as it can get, after I coordinate with Dekishan Buttada, Sir Chetan Buttada, and Nilesh Buttada. You guys have a responsibility to come out with questions. Bring out a lot of questions. Ponder over the 5 points that I made. Put it in your chopdi. And then let's build that comfort and that relation, which is in the interest of a management student. Because my job, I love MBA industry. I'm a part. You would have seen my photograph in your campus. The moment you land, you will find a huge poster. And that is what I am. I'm a part of the ISMR family. Just that I operate out of Mumbai. We do some support solutions out here for ISMR students. The logic here is very simple. For us, it's a close-knit family. You're a part of this family. We want to do well in life, but we can do it only when we are all together. Not physically, but in spirit. Not necessarily being in the brick and mortar manner, but maybe in a virtual manner. Today, maybe are the days of being virtual, and virtual is reality. So it's not virtual reality. Today, virtual is reality. Now that's a huge change. Maybe these are the words that may not make sense to a few people because you're a little too young, but you will make sense as you go ahead. Anyways, it was pleasure, talking with young kids. If you kids have some questions, kindly post on the chat. I give you exactly 3 minutes to post a question. Feel free. Nilesh Buttada, Chetan Buttada, Jekishan Buttada sir, Dr. Dhananjay Pingle sir, you feel free to probably ask any question that you think. You can probe your students to ask me questions today so that maybe next time when we meet, we'll have more comfort. And, I think 6 months down the road, you'll have every reason to smile that COVID happened. And then you could attend a session maybe on 18th of April at 11 o'clock in the morning with a few glitches. We started 11:15 or so, spend an hour in a virtual manner. But nevertheless, nevertheless, at a later date, nevertheless, under a pandemic, it definitely happened. So nevertheless aside, it happened. I wait for you guys for the next 3 to 5 minutes for any questions that you may have on economy, asset markets, stock markets, forex markets, on your MBA life, your internship, your placements, on ISMR's future and your future, on the batches that we want to start, what is that you are expected to do, and keeping in touch on a constant, regular basis. We otherwise wouldn't have done this kind of a session if COVID wouldn't have happened. We never did it. I had to come all the way to Pune every year to do a session. At least now I have an opportunity that we know how to do this. We're going to do this. As long as the government of India doesn't tell us Zoom is illegal, we're going to follow this because we have nothing to lose. We're very transparent people. We have nothing to lose. If somebody is going to copy our lecture, so shall it be, and it doesn't matter. Right? So waiting for you for questions to be posted on the chat group. My name is Nilesh Sarawate. In case somebody wants to know more about me, you can Google. Google archives won't lie. And obviously Chetan, Nilesh and Jekishan sir are there to guide you further along with Dr. Dhananjay Pingle and your teachers. And life is good. First of all, life is good. If you want to do well in life, trust me, this kind of a change, the world is serious. Brilliant, brilliant. MBA students, brilliant. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not. And trust me, I'm not a great assessor or analyzer of the way technology changes. I'm not too good at technological changes. I definitely believe, and I do believe, that I'm pretty good at economic changes. I'm an author of a few books in economics, which are referred in Germany now. Not to boast and talk, probably say how good I am and all that. Nothing. I know for a fact that you students, if you take an initiative, you will have every reason to smile that you're a part of ISMR, connected with me because I'm a part of it. It's as simple as that. Kindly put down your questions in 3 to 5 minutes time. I take a break. We come back. Meanwhile, Gaurav Probin, Nilesh Buttada, Dhananjay Pingle sir, Jekishan Buttada sir, Chetan Buttada sir, probe your student, push them, put the questions, call them. Let's have some questions. Let me make an attempt to answer a few of them and then take it forward in the next 5 minutes from now.
Good afternoon, students.
जो नेट लागावं म्हणून तू म्हणतो ती विचारली आपण तिची लेक्चर्स नाही
Yeah. Good afternoon. Yeah, you can ask Doctor. Yeah. What will go after COVID? Yeah, feel free. Students. Hey, सबको. Get every student. Hi, Nilesh Butada.
Hello.
Hello. All well?
All well, all well.
All well. Very good. I like that. Very good. Yeah,
Lockdown
now
at
I
home.
have Pratik Vacha. All at home. Very nice. Very good. So I see Bharat. Hey, guys, get your videos on. Hey, कसं करणार रे? हे गौरव.
Yes, sir.
त्यांना व्हिडिओज त्यांना अनम्यूट कर. व्हिडिओज येऊन दे. डायरेक्ट बोलतात का बघूया. चेतन बुटाडा पण आला बघ. प्रतीक वचनानी. Get videos on. Hi, Pratik. Okay. I see Parmesh Pandey. No, I don't see him. I see Rishabh Jaiswal. Where are you from, Rishabh? How are you doing? Okay. Question. Yeah. Okay. Nandita. After the lockdown. Hey, no. Mute. Let the video be there. Mute all of them.
अभी ये खाना कहाँ से आ रहा है?
ये जैसे आते हैं यहाँ से 1 किलोमीटर दूर है, 1-2 किलोमीटर दूर है। वहाँ से
होटल से कैसे कहाँ?
ये किसका आ रहा है ये सब? Hey.
Wait, sir.
Okay, Nandita has asked me a question about this. Virtual will support. Trust me on this. Virtual will not substitute. Can never substitute. People in Silicon Valley, 93% of companies in e-learning have free. Not because the ideas were bad. It's just because humans want the physical feel as far as education is concerned. So it's going to improve as far as the virtual pedagogies are concerned. No two ways about it, but not going to substitute. So Nandita Maheshwari, it will be an improved demand, but not a substitution on the brick and mortar. So to learn. Okay, 1 minute. If you want to make an equity market, now this is Saurabh Parwal. First thing, you need to get your economics in place. Business economics has to be mastered. Your understanding of relationships, cross-border relationships between inflation, interest rate, exchange rate, money supply, and GDP is extremely vital. That is the key. If you understand macroeconomics, you have set the foundation for equity research. Then comes valuation. So which means Prasanna Chandra, Mr. Khan, or Gordon on valuation has to be mastered. So Dornbush and Fisher or Fisher Jordan are the books that you need to pick up. If they're available online, fine. If not, I'll try to make an attempt to ensure that ISMR library has the copies. Be assured on that. So that those two things, I think you're on track. Don't go with net and all that, because it will confuse you. Ashwini, wait. No. Yeah. The world is going to lose $9 trillion means the GDP is going to shrink. GDP around $85-90 trillion is the GDP, global GDP. We're going to lose $9 trillion means global GDP will come down. So it is predicted America will shrink by 6%, 5.5%. China contraction in the first quarter was 6%, but it will still grow on an annualized basis. Be assured on that. Europe will shrink. The developed countries will shrink. Japan historically has been less than 1% for the last 20 years. So it is going to shrink definitely. So you're going to lose, global GDP is going to come down. Nothing to worry about, but that much infusion is already there on the stimuli. Because to be a short summary session, only about asset market. Asset marketing nahi hota hai, asset market hota hai. Quick short summary I'm giving you. Kindly be attentive. Gaurav, you can record this for somebody.
Yes,
whether you can do this.
Yes,
I'm talking about the asset. Now kindly stop posting questions because then I lose the questions. We are talking about post lockdown on 25th March that was announced in Indian context and lockdowns announced are all around the world. the asset markets, predominantly speaking, the stock markets all over the world have gone up by 20% plus from 25th March till 17th of April, as compared to the levels of the 23rd of March. Now, the reason for this is that the fiscal and the monetary stimuli that were given by America, by the European countries and Japan, coupled by Indian counterparts, by Nirmala Sitharaman ji in the capacity of the finance minister and Mr. Das in the capacity of the governor of RBI, is responsible for an infusion of at least a few $1 trillion in the world. America standalone fiscal stimulus has been 2.3 plus $250 billion, 2.3 trillion plus $250 billion, approximately $2.55 trillion. The American Federal Bank is $2.3 trillion rate. Germany has been $1 trillion euro. Japan has been $1 trillion plus. India has been 1,70,000 crores, $22 billion plus. This is translating into a surplus amount of funds within the financial sectors, banks, institutions to say, NBFCs and the other set of financial institutions. This money is finding its way into asset markets, predominantly bullion, which is gold, silver, and the stock markets and the American dollar, responsible for ensuring the markets have gone up by 25%. The stock markets have gone up by 25%. And gold has seen at an all-time high of 46,000 rupees plus per tola in Indian markets. This is in nutshell the reason why markets have gone up, supplemented by the fact there is short selling, short covering by short sellers, the bear trap that exists in the bear market, where people sold and they were forced to buy at a higher price, resulting in a further escalation of price. And third is the value investing that people would have done, considering that they saw value, intrinsic value being much more than the market. So from a valuation point of view, value investing happened, short covering happened, and the skill stimuli were responsible for asset classes having an escalation in their price. That's in a nutshell that you wanted to know about. That was for Prajot. It is not asset marketing, it is asset markets. Advait Indurkar, why the market rates goes down in the afternoon session, having good starting. Hey guys, this is trading. You know, it goes and comes down. It is momentary. It is at that point of time. You can't say morning mein अच्छा खुलता है दोपहर को नीचे जाता है. ऐसे जरूरी नहीं है. Something happens, the market gets to know something more which you and me are not aware of, and then it reacts. So it's an up and down. Hey guys, understand basics of markets. We gonna have genuine investors who want to be invested in the underlying. मतलब shares में invest रखना चाहता है. Somebody wants to enter, somebody wants to exit. Enter means wants to buy into shares. Somebody wants to exit means somebody wants to sell the shares. So you have genuine investors who want to enter or exit, which bring about liquidity and volatility in the market. Liquidity means ability to sell or ability to buy. Because if you have more number of buyers and more number of sellers, yes, you'll be able to buy and sell. That is liquidity. And the speculators bring about the volatility in the market. Goes up and goes down. So investors, speculators, liquidity and volatility are the four things that you all should know. If you know this, you know the basics of that. So what question that you're asking is related to liquidity and volatility because of change in buying and selling pressures as well as the investors are concerned and the speculators. Can you please repeat the name of the books you suggested? Saurabh Parwal, I made a mention of Gordon on Valuation, Financial Management by Prasanna Chandra, Fisher Jordan, and Don Bush and Fisher. So Don Bush and Fisher for economics, Gregory Mankiw for economics, and Nilesh Sarawate for economics. You know, you can choose. I'm sorry, I'm not boasting, but that is for economics. Nilesh Sarawate's book or Gregory Mankiw, Harvard guy, Don Bush and Fisher, Wharton guy. Nilesh Sarawate, SPGM guy. Hello. Sorry, that's okay. Hey, that's okay, Prajot. I just wanted to, not from a typo error, just ignore it. Does this pandemic bring any good opportunities? I love this, Shweta Mishra. This question is very nice. My statement is very clear. Get खून में जाने दो, सबके खून में जाने दो. Unprecedented opportunities will give you unprecedented problems will give you unprecedented opportunities. You're going to have plenty of opportunities. But the world is changing. It's like this. So you have to be patient, perseverance, passion. That's going to give you those opportunities. Yes, but not for economy at large, for individuals in the economy like you. What else I should? See, I'll tell you honestly, The world is already a few months back. Okay. So it's like this. If you are generating, just assume this, middle class family generating, say, 3 lakhs worth of savings a year on an income of, say, 18 lakh rupees. Assume this, which means 3 on 18 is 1 by 6, which is 15%. So 15% of our annual returns, of annual savings, the returns on that was that. We are going to lose that. So organizations are going to lose 15% of their accumulated reserves, is why we have to understand. On a higher end of the bracket. If somebody ends up at a zero profit, zero loss, is the best scenario. The best scenario is zero profit, zero loss. Marginal profits would be something which companies will show profits either ways, but I'm talking about the genuine, the reality check is, and I'm considering the 500 companies are kept aside. So 0 to 15% drop on the reserves is the game that you're going to play. But that is to be lost today, can be covered in the next 3 years. So don't expect you're going to cover it today. You're going to cover it in the next 3 years. How? By sheer performance. By having a Porter approach and saying, let me knock an opportunity and probably have it in me. So that is purely strategy. So how? No one's going to have an answer today. And it's going to be very customized for customized company, for different companies. RBI expects to increase in GDP. Avinash Kumar. RBI doesn't expect increase in GDP. RBI expect the GDP growth rate to be around 1.9%. I think you're talking about Mr. Das's statement yesterday. The Indian economy was poised to grow at 6%. 3.5 trillion पे 6% बहुत होता है. $18 billion के आसपास आता है. बहुत ज़्यादा होता है. It's not going to grow. Not going to grow. It's going to grow by just 1.9%. Just 1.9%. So it's growing, but it's not growing at the rate that you expected. China will also grow. India will also grow. Asia will be at 0 total because of Japan, Taiwan, Vietnam. But Indian economy will grow at 1.5%. It's not about how is it possible. It is definitely possible. From 6 to 1.5% is big loss. 0.1% drop in Indian GDP loses 50,000 white collar jobs. आप अपना calculation कर लो. 40 times into 50,000. बहुत हो गया. 20 lakh job जाएगा. Anyways, but mid management. नहीं तो तुम वापिस आएगा आपके को. How come this momentum will help us? Because Bharat Rotangan, you are not supposed to find internship on the road or in the workplace. You stay at home and study. Don't compromise on 2-3 months of studies from home in lieu of an internship, because it is in place of internship, right? You are not, you guys are lucky. You are not losing out on the classes or classroom training. You are losing an internship. What impact would have an internship had on your life? It wouldn't have any impact. तो 2-2.5 महीने का 3 महीने का जो इंटर्नशिप था उसके बदले घर पे बैठ के रह रहे. इंटर्नशिप इज नॉट गोना चेंज योर प्लेसमेंट प्रोस्पेक्ट्स. गुड. नो, अवॉइड. Ayushi Jhatkar, do a project from home. I'll give you a project if you want. Get Chetan Bhutada as a guide if you're a finance guy. Get Nilesh Bhutada as a guide if you're a marketing guy. I'll give you the project title. Sit at home and do the project. Don't search an internship, please. All of you, this is an advice. These are not the times to venture out an adventure. Hey, come on. AICT is telling you directly, don't do it. Until unless you've got one and the company says work for it, then it is fine. But why take that? Because tomorrow you will be made to come back to the classroom. Hello. This is a pandemic that none of us have a complete understanding about. Hello, the medicos don't have an understanding. How you as me as students or management will have. So what is being instructed by the lawmakers, follow it. Right? So don't go fanatically in search of anything. It's not needed. It's not advised. Do a project under the leadership of Chetan Bhutada, Nilesh Bhutada, Jaikishan Bhutada. I have, Dr. Dhananjay Ping. I think it serves the purpose. You want a company name, we will provide you all the kinds of company names. So you don't worry about it. You prepare for your final placement starting today, sitting at home. That is better. Okay, I think good for today. Nilesh Bhutada?
Yes.
Good for today. Dr. Dhananjay?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Actually, I would like to give feedback on behalf of the ISMR school and the entire student. Those are participating right now. So there are few students also, they were actually wanted to join this discussion, because due to the weak internet connectivity, they couldn't join it. So I first of all, thank you, Mr. Nilesh sir. Your introduction is not done in the video. We though posted it in the group of WhatsApp. So Nilesh sir basically is the CEO of OES Academia, and he also provided good insights into the career opportunities after COVID-19 spread, because all the students are worried very much for this COVID-19 and what will happen after the April or May or June, whenever it gets to complete after the COVID-19. So sir also shared very good learning resources for the students, and it's a good motivating speaker. It's a good motivating speaker, so he delivered to us. And also I very much thankful to the honorable chairman sir, Jai Kishan Guttada ji, and our faculty, our guide, Dr. Nilesh Guttada sir, and a chartered accountant, Mr. Chetan Guttada sir. And also all the students, those who have participated in the discussion, I would like to give some assignment to them. So it will be only one piece of paper in which they have to write on what they learned during the session and what will be their action points after learning from this session. So that one paper they have to share in the group of WhatsApp that we prepared on the official or ISMR group. And also sir said we have to be very connected with the ISMR group, ISMR institute. And also students have to think upon what will be the strategies they are going to adopt for keeping a long-term relationship with the ISMR and the faculties and the mentors of the group. So all these things I would like to share.
Yeah, done.
And I hope for the students as well. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Hey guys, this is for all my student friends, Nilesh Guttada, Chetan Guttada, Mr. Guttada. We'll catch up very soon. You know, if you students think it deemed to catch up with me, and if the government thinks that they should catch up with me, we would catch up with you pretty soon. And prepared with questions. I keep on saying this. Preparation. Thank you so much, guys. Take care. Bye.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend, by the way. You know, that's a very important statement. This is going to be a good weekend now. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye bye all.